I've watched a lot of TED Talk videos over the years, but that is probably the best TED Talk I ever saw. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin, I am a geek and you are back watching Kevin the Geek, and it is time for Ted Lasso review of Season 1, Episode 5, Tan Lines. Now this, as an episode of basically halfway through the season, is so good and could be argued as one of the best episodes of the entire show. We finally get to see the culmination, really, of Ted trying to make Jamie a better person. But you also see what Ted's home life is really like and his relationship with his wife and his son. So first off with this episode, I love to see that Rebecca is clearly starting to warm to Ted, and the episode last week was really good in helping to develop the relationship between Ted and Rebecca, and I think Rebecca is beginning to be a little bit more receptive to Ted. It's clear that she, I think, is more liking of him as a person, but she's still determined with her end goal of destroying the football club, even if that means destroying Ted. But the way that he is able to go to her for his morning biscuits with the boss session, and she's just opening up to him and talking to him that little bit more, it's really, really lovely to see. I love with Jamie and Keely that they don't automatically go straight into a situation where they just sort of brush it under the carpet and they maybe kind of get back together. It's very much a situation that I think could have ended up going down that route. But the fact that Jamie has literally moved on and in less than 24 hours has found a new girl to boink shows that he's just not a good person. And all throughout this episode, all I kept thinking was, I really hope that after the heart-to-heart that Roy and Jamie had last time out, it's gonna have made a little bit of difference to him. But it didn't. Jamie is just as bad as he always was. He's still such a selfish person, to the point that Ted even has to catch a shot to prevent it going in practice, just to try and teach him a lesson. But Jamie has finally hit the nail in the coffin. The fact that he outrightly disrespects Ted by saying to him, I am not going to listen to anything you say because I am the best and you're a nobody. It's such a shame that he feels he has to do that. But the fact that he then further disrespects him when Ted's son unexpectedly walks in and asks Jamie to sign his shirt. Jamie takes that as an opportunity to further rub his point into Ted's face that he is the only person on the team that makes a difference and people actually come to see play. And then when he scores his goals in the football match, how further disrespectful he gets by running to the fans. And it's not enough to just go, point at the name on his back and go, look who I am, that's my name, this is who I am, I'm the best on the way. The fact that he celebrates by shouting me, by literally going, me, me, that is it. Ted hits the roof and almost drops the F-bomb, which I don't think I recall Ted ever actually swearing on the show. I could be wrong, but you can tell he almost does it. And I don't like the fact that they wrote in that he that Ted had to go to ask Rebecca's permission to bench him. I like to think that Ted could have just made that call and just gone, this is it, I am doing this. He sort of needed a bit of validation. I wish they had just written him just that so he can just go to the point. But that's a minor thing there, really, for me. But the fact that he makes this change is because he knows this cannot continue. The team is a team disjointed and they cannot work together because they cannot work with Jamie. And so Ted has his halftime team talk and basically gets the team to band together. And the tiniest little thing I think is so easily missed. Just before Ted starts his team talk, Isaac, one of the people who has been constantly teasing and picking on and bullying Nate throughout all these previous 4 episodes, he slides along the bench and indicates for Nate to sit down. As if to say that Nate is actually part of this team. He's no longer just this little side person. He's now part of the team. And I love that little moment. I'll talk a little bit more about the actual speech itself in a second. Firstly, the dynamic that Ted has with his wife and his son is a lovely sight to see. It's clear that they've always had a really close family bond. And I was a little bit surprised, I think, for the episode to turn out in the way that it did, for Ted and Michelle to break up. But at the same time, it's not something I should have been surprised by. Because they've teased it throughout multiple episodes. Literally the end of the pilot episode when Ted calls his wife and they're just having, they talk about they needed some space to kind of figure out where they were. And in the last episode, when Ted is on the phone again to Michelle before going to the gala, he tries to say, I love you. But he kind of has to stop himself. Again, he's trying to respect the wishes of Michelle and maybe not go, kind of too heavy-handed because he knows that she doesn't quite like that. But it's a very understandable situation to be in. And I really like the fact that they didn't go down the very obvious route of making one partner cheat on the other and that be the reason that they broke up. They have simply break up and ultimately get divorced because they've just drifted apart. And that happens to a lot of relationships. I think the focus will always go to relationships that break down because someone's cheated or they've had loads and loads of arguments and stuff like that. These are just two people who clearly love each other but are probably just together for the sake of their son. And they've probably not been in a good position for a while. And again, that is a shame, but that is the reality of life. Sometimes romantic relationships just break down and there's no party at fault. No one's done anything wrong. It's just they fall out of love. And I think they handled it really, really well. And I think I respect the decision that they made Ted be the one to do it. Because again, I think it could have been very easy for it to be Michelle to be the one just saying, I'm not happy, we need to end this. And Ted be the one try to hold on to it and try to keep it going. But he makes that realization that things aren't right. They're still going to have a great relationship and he still loves her dearly and would do anything to make her happy. But ultimately, he knows that for her to be happy, he's got to let her go. And it's just a real touching emotion at the end of the episode. And a great song as well, by the way. I literally only worked out this time around it was a song by Mumford & Sons, who is a band that I absolutely love. But the actual music in the whole series is pretty much done by Marcus Mumford, one of the band members of Mumford & Sons. But then this brings me back to the actual speech that Ted makes in his halftime team talk. This show is so clever in its writing and putting together some unrelated moments but tying them together. And the whole speech was just wonderful.
Nice work. Fellas, we're broken. We need to change. And look, I know change can be scary. Most of the time, change is a good thing. I think that's what it's all about. Embracing change. Being brave. Doing whatever you have to so that everyone in your life can move forward theirs. Because maybe it's the only way you can truly help her be happy. Obviously, by her, I'm referring to Lady Football.
The last little note of point with this episode is for Rebecca, Keely and Roy. Rebecca and Keely, again, start to show that they're just starting to build this little bit of a friendship. And it's going to be a really good thing for Rebecca to have. Because I don't think she's really got that many friends in general. I think she's been so closed off for such a long period of time. She probably has people that she knows quite well and probably likes, but she wouldn't probably consider them friends. But Keely is probably the first person in a long period of time who she might begin to consider as a friend. And then you have these small little moments seeding the future relationship between Keely and Roy. And I love their dynamic, particularly in this episode. I think very particularly the kind of interaction they have in the corridor, which ends with Keely basically saying, I'm going to ask your opinion and ask your advice before I do anything moving forward. And then she sends in the little text saying, I need to go to the bathroom. Is it okay if I go and pee? Yeah, it's such a fun little sarcastic relationship between them. And it's a very different relationship to what Keely has had before. But what are your thoughts with episode 5, Tan Lines? Please drop a comment down below and please subscribe to the channel if you are new. But for now, my name is Kevin, I am a geek, and you have been watching Kevin the Geek. Goodbye.